5 miles, Angel 6.
Roger, that's the only one I've got right there where the pointer is.
Welcome back to the DCS SITREP, where we dig into news from the Eagle Dynamics team and their third-party developers. I'm your host, Prickly Hedgehog, and as usual, I hope this video finds you well wherever you're tuning in from today. Last week's newsletter showcased the latest pending release of another new World War II bird to the DCS World stable, in this case the La-7, which is being produced by the OctopusG's team, who already have skin in the game in DCS World with the OctopusX's. The Russian aircraft may be unfamiliar to many of you, but it was showcased in the 2023 and beyond video, which also saw snippets of the more famous Pacific fighter, the F-15E Corsair, which we are still waiting for. The Octopus team, however, have completed the trajectory of movement settings that include mass inertia, aerodynamic characteristics, propeller, and engine. They are currently developing the compressed air system, control systems that include yaw and pitch channel trimmers, fuel, hydraulic, and other systems. The team is also working on the 3D model, including the damage model and a wide range of liveries. Liveries will include famous aces and several national liveries, both historic and alternative history. Items to still be completed include the Quick Start Manual, 2D art, and of course instant action missions for its release in the game. Now, one of the interesting features of this aircraft is the use of compressed air as an energy for the starter. The compressed air can be supplied either from an airfield source or from an onboard pneumatic system. The main component of this system is the PN1 starting pump, which is essentially a fuel-air mixture injector acting as a mini carburetor during engine startup. Firstly, the starting chamber of the carburetor is manually filled by pumping the plunger. Then the valve is opened and the compressed air passing through the starting chamber rotates the engine to a speed of 50 to 60 RPM, while simultaneously spraying the fuel-air mixture directly into the cylinders. Finally, ignition is initiated and the startup is supported by supplying the main fuel under pressure with the help of an alveolar pump. The powerful ASH-82FN engine provides the Lavochkin with superiority in the main flight characteristics over opponents at altitudes of up to 3,000 meters. Based on this, the main task of the La-7 pilot in air combat is to engage in combat at low altitudes where they can maximize the advantages of this particular fighter. In the world of DCS, the Lavochkin's closest competitors are the Spitfire, Mustang, Focke-Wulf, and the Messerschmitt. The Mustang and the Focke-Wulf can be easily outmaneuvered in terms. The Spitfire, however, should be defeated in vertical maneuvers utilizing high energy capabilities. The Messerschmitt is the closest competitor in terms of characteristics. Fighting it is almost on equal terms and largely depends on the skill of the pilot, so that will be some interesting challenges there. Now, in the real world, the most successful La-7 pilot was the famous three-time hero of the Soviet Union, Ivan Nikolaevich Kozhedub, who had a total of more than 60 officially confirmed personal victories on both the La-5 and the La-7 aircraft. According to his memories, Kozhedub achieved his victories primarily by striving to gain the initiative in the battle. The renowned ace had the most suitable fighter to implement such tactics, and the team have honored the memory of this outstanding pilot by recreating the livery of the aircraft on which Kozhedub fought. They have no doubt that the La-7 aircraft, with its introduction into the DCS world, will make a significant contribution to the development of virtual air combat. And there is a video of the startup procedure which was linked in last week's newsletter, and I'll put that up in the description below if you want to check that out.
SB-20 is what it is. So left side up. Your military left.
The Warbird segment is a popular one in DCS world, and additions to the aircraft available should be welcome news to most. I suspect though that the La-7 will likely be a niche aircraft, and it lacks, well, a Russian front theater in which to operate right now. There is a long list of aircraft wanted from DCS World War II era fans wanting embellishments to their current experiences, which includes more theaters of operation and asset expansions ranging from ships to ground objects. It's an era that is well saturated with strategic RTS and FPS games, as well as some other current and historic flight sims. ED's focus on detailed accuracy for the modules presents its own learning curves, however, but there's no doubt from comments I get almost weekly that the community is eager for more immersion from the game in reference to the aforementioned assets and modules. While it's not everyone's cup of tea, maps like Normandy 2 do demonstrate the potential of the simulator's ability to satiate these needs. The catch, I think, for ED is now how sprawling the breadth and diversity of the game's assets are becoming, which is loosely divided between 3 eras of aircraft and combat development as I see it: World War II, the Cold War, and the modern Gen 4 era. Amidst these 70-odd years of history, we have helicopters, a smattering of training and civilian aircraft, and soon we'll be getting dedicated military transport aircraft, which will further divide your areas of focus. Variety, of course, is the spice of life, but I can certainly see challenges for those new to DCS wondering where to plonk their hat for the first purchase of a full fidelity aircraft. Choice, though, again, is not a bad thing. While we're on choices for full fidelity aircraft, don't forget the 50% off sale for Warbirds right now in the e-store. This includes the Spitfire, Mustang, Kurfürst, Anton, Dora, and the Thunderbolt. Now, in other news, many of you will be familiar with SRS, the third-party app which allows realistic voice chat between virtual pilots in the multiplayer environment and is a must-have for realistic radio comm experiences.
Hello, you got nothing. Stand by. Double flight leaving 22 for 25,000.
ED has its own in-house system too, known as voice chat, and they've been fine-tuning it over the last few years in order to make us a usable system for dedicated servers and multiplayer experiences. I haven't personally used it myself since SRS has generally been our go-to platform in the Air Warfare group, but the ED team advised that they have improved the overall stability of voice chat connections between users, even those who use VPNs. They're currently working on realistic radio sound effects and the possibility for players to create their own radio sound effects profiles. They've added static noises for better immersion and a microphone normalization feature, and updated the mic test option, as well as resolved bugs when talking between different aircraft modules. They've also added the ability to mute individual players and adjust the volume of specific channels, which gives players greater control over their comms systems to reduce radio distractions during gameplay. They advise that this is a significant update to the system and it will be released soon. Lastly here, and I guess this brings us up to date on ED news specifically, but I wanted to address the numerous comments I've been getting about hype train news on the F-15E and the Phantom 2 F4. These are by Razbam and Heatblur respectively. As is the case with complex modules, especially in the Eagle's instance, development is long, delays are inevitable, but tempers are starting to fray in terms of when either of these modules will appear as a physical end product in the game. 2023, after all, has been dubbed the year of the Eagle by the Razbam team, and we're already in May.
No worries, we got plenty of time.
The F-15E has a foot in the door, however, given the pre-order for early access earlier this year, although that didn't go off without a hitch when the price point was inadvertently posted at a ludicrously low rate in the eShop. As people continue to remind me, not that I haven't noticed, both aircraft were slated for a Q4 2022 release. Remember, we're now almost mid-2023, as I said before, and neither aircraft is a physical end product in the game. So people are rightly asking, where the hell is it? And one more soon to be released update is, well, stale news. Fair enough. In short, I have no idea. We can only really speculate on holdups, and I suspect that, well, one might be the tinker testing going on right now with the new multi-threading software that ED is running in open beta. It would make sense to me that you would want an open beta launch product to be optimized in the multi-threading environment in order to provide the best customer experience for this new technology that we have, which is best taking advantage of our computers and providing a much more vivid experience for many of us with these modules. If you throw the product out to the baying crowds, riddled with errors and bugs, which has happened before, well, the knives are going to be out. So it's a little bit of a catch-22 for the teams. Release it too early, incomplete to satisfy the demand, and you end up with a secondary issue where people complain that it's full of bugs and they should never have released it in the first place. Tricky. In addition to that, both aircraft offer some form of AI Wizzo experience, which Heatblur pioneered with Jester, remember, and the F-15A and B modules that they have. The Jester AI for the Phantom has been completely rewritten from the ground up, which is an extremely time-consuming task, and according to the team, it will include better functionality over the original system. It's going to be a little bit less cheesy too, I understand. Razbam similarly has a less comprehensive system in play to address gaps in functionality between the front and the back seat operation. However, the product was assembled with the concept it would shine as a two-seater aircraft as it does in the real world, notwithstanding aircraft like the F-15EX, which goes well beyond what is represented in the game here. Now, Razban has been showcasing the potency of the F-15's radar and layers within the MFD's functionality, which I expect will be a deep dive, and possibly more so than the current F-16 and F-18 options that we have, but they won't be foreign to us. Some people took umbrage online that I suggested that the F-15E was better than the former two aircraft as an air-to-ground platform, which in fairness still I think it is, depending on the specific mission set. It does have a much higher loiter time, for example, but it won't necessarily outdo an F-16C, say on specific seed missions such as the Wild Weasel Roll. I think some people's opinions may be swayed once the platform is released, especially once they get to grips with that monster radar in conjunction with the sniper pod. That pod will be coming to the F-16 too, remember, ahead of the Lantern system, which was going to be implemented first. And I think we can thank the F-15E's development for that. It is, after all, the superior pod, if you're unfamiliar with it. These additions could also be part or in conjunction with our delays that we're experiencing as the respective teams monkey with multi-threading in order to get the best out of the mechanics of the aircraft and optimized with a system, after all, that is also being tweaked, debugged, and optimized. That is my guess as to what's going on right now. I'm hoping to get my hands on the F-15E ahead of release here to showcase some of the functionality that we've discussed. Baltic Dragon indicated he'd finished the early access version of the interactive manual too, which is a very positive sign. So all we can do right now is stay tuned and wait. But I hear your frustration, because it is frustrating, and you are right. It's been well over 5 months since the initial release date was slated last year in 2022, and here we are, as I said before, halfway through almost 2023, the year of the Eagle, the year of the Phantom. Fingers crossed, but it's not looking all that shiny right now. Alright, let me know what you think of the content in today's SITREP if you have an opinion. This will do for this week's SITREP. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment in the comment section below. Don't forget, if you'd like to support the channel a little bit more, there is the heart icon below, the super thanks button, which helps the channel chug along. Thanks to all of you who subscribed last week. It edges us a little closer to 10,000 subscribers, and that soon to be announced giveaway, if we hit the milestone, will come as a result of that. So that's it. Prickly Hedgehog out. See ya!